Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Wellness Camp. Thank you, Surya, for being here once again. It's just so good to see you early morning. See you here, and so many other people who've been coming every single day for almost all the sessions. It means a lot to us. Thank you so much. On behalf of all our experts and SBY Academy, we're really grateful the way you've embraced the Wellness Camp, and that means a lot. Today is the final day of sessions. They say when time is good, then time flies, and that's exactly what happened this week. I can't believe we're now at the fag end of it, but it's not over as yet. In fact, as always, you keep the best for the last. So we have a very, very important discussion lined up today on how do we deal with the many challenges we face when we work from home. How do we make sure that there is a balance between work and life? How do we make sure that we are productive and still with family, giving them our love and attention? It's not been as easy as it sounds, but after the sessions today, you might just find it much easier. We have experts joining us today, taking 5 sessions as always from now till 7 in the evening. But before we get started with that and learn a lot from Neeti, who's going to take the first session, let me welcome you on behalf of SBY Academy, a platform that offers leadership training and coaching solutions to corporates and business owners. We do that in 3 different formats: executive coaching, which is one-on-one coaching, experiential training workshops, online and offline, whenever we get to offline, that is, and self-paced learning courses, which are leadership courses available on our website. If you want to know anything more about any of these formats or what we can do for your corporate or for you as an individual, feel free to write to yukti@sbyacademy.in or visit our website, and you'll probably find the answer to your questions there. I will quickly take you through some details on our flagship program on spiritual leadership called Upskilling Leadership Mastery. This is a course for anyone and everyone who's consciously trying to be a better person so that they can be a better leader. It's a transformational journey of 1 year, where throughout the year we have live master classes and explore various life skills and leadership skills that help us to be a better person and to lead people from the front. Let me give you a little sneak peek into this course, and then let me leave you with that to decide whether this is the right step forward for you or not. Give me a moment while I take you through some of the experiences people have had with this course. When you go to the website sbyacademy.in, you will find this courses tab. The moment you click on courses, you will see Upskilling Leadership Mastery right at the top. This is the spiritual leadership course. You can click here to read more, learn more about it in your own time, and see if you want to join the course. The next batch for this course starts from 14th of August and registrations are open. Let us see what the course has to offer.
made me realize the importance of being centered and balanced.
Our language with our core team and core team communication with our other colleagues of the organizations have changed.
This course is not only about being an efficient leader for a multinational. This course is that and also about being an efficient person at home.
So I must tell you that this is a life-changing course and it changes the way you think.
This course gives me a tremendous power to look inside.
It drives you into an ocean of self-awareness, leading to a powerful being and a passionate leader.
The benefits, I am already seeing the benefits in each and every area of my life, whether it be my relationships, whether it be my work, my professional areas of work, my family relationships, my interventions with the community. So I am benefiting at a higher level and I am discovering the path.
Thank you, and we hope to welcome you to this transformational journey. When you go on this page and say register now, it will encourage you to share your email address, and we'll be happy to reach out to you and share more information so that you know this is indeed the right step forward. One other right thing that has happened is for so many sponsors to put their hand up and stand right next to us to make this wellness camp happen, and we cannot begin without thanking them. And we know we can't thank them enough, but let me mention CFBP, Council for Fair Business Practices, who supported us for this wellness camp powered by Phillip Capitals, our radio partner Radio City, digital partner It's Mumbai, and associate partner Kashi Wellness, and YVO, Young Volunteer Organization that we support and strongly believe in. With that, let's bring in one of the best coaches I've ever met. Somebody who's absolutely professional, perfectionist, and delivers with so much ease that it looks like a breeze when she talks about anything related to behavioral leadership. Neeti Chokhani is a behavior coach who's mastered in human resources and masters the ability to influence corporate executives to be the better self that they can be. She's trained for over 700 hours and brought the best out of people with almost a snap of her fingers. At SBY Academy, Neeti adds the key ingredient to success by helping corporates and entrepreneurs to master their people skills, which I consider as the most important skill to master. So let's bring the master herself on screen. Neeti, welcome. Thank you so much for being a part of the Wellness Camp.
Thank you so much, Yukti, for having me here. It's wonderful to be here.
Thank you. Let's hand it over to you. Please help us strike this balance that's so missing in our lives today. Thank you. Over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Nice and early, 7 in the morning, we all are right here. So welcome to the Wellness Camp. We are very delighted that you all have joined us today. So many people joining us early in the morning just tells us how important time management is, that we are taking the time out to start our day bright and early with something very productive. So I am Neeti Chokhani. I have been training and coaching for around 10 years now. I started my career with Tata Consultancy Services, and right from there, I started my journey with time management to get the enormous amount of work done, managing home, living alone, managing the work. Very early on, I understood the importance of managing time. But just understanding that time management is important is not enough. And that is where a lot of people get stuck. They realize it's important, but then they don't end up doing anything about it. So during my days over there, I realized I need to work. I need to find ways. I need to realize and identify how can I do it better. So I started learning and devising my own ways as to how I can manage my time better, how I can reduce the redundancies, and how can I achieve the maximum productivity and make full use of my time. So today, let me take you on that journey of understanding time management with respect to work from home. So are we all ready to go for that journey? Yes, amazing. So time management is a journey that cannot be understood in isolation. That's something that you cannot say, now I know what is time management. I need to manage time better. But time is not in our control, right? Time is not something that you can have power over. No, you have to work with time. So in our today's session, we are going to identify the 3 steps that will help you to work better with time. And what are those 3 steps? Professional wellness, physical wellness, and mental wellness. These 3 steps will help us to identify how we can manage our work life better, how we can manage our personal life better, how can we strike a balance between our 2 lives, which are so important and so integrated in today's scenario. So now, why is it that I want you all to keep messaging in the chat. I told you that we are going to talk about 3 steps: mental wellness, professional wellness, and physical wellness. Why do you think for time management, we need to keep in mind these 3 steps? Let's see it in the chat window. All right, I'm getting some responses. Mental well-being is also important. Time helps us do that. Okay. Professional wellness, you need to work better. All right. Time impacts everything. Perfect. Absolutely right. Thank you so much. Yes, time impacts everything. Now, why is that? Because time has an impact on our mind, on our body, and the way we work. So an understanding of all these 3 will help us grasp the topic better. So we are here to talk about professional wellness and how that has changed in the past 1 year. But we cannot straight jump to how to make our work life better. First, we need to do some reflection. We need to accept the big change in our life. We need to accept that things have changed in the past 1 year. So what are some of the changes or some of the biggest changes? There are a lot of changes that have taken place. What are some of the biggest changes that have taken place since the pandemic started for you all? Okay, let's see. I'm getting a response. Work has increased. So that's a change. Yes, everybody's facing that. Work hours have increased. All right. Okay, so work increased. All right. Home is work now. Yes, absolutely. Our work has shifted from office to home. And with that, everything we related to our work life has changed. We all now have new offices which don't feel like workspaces. Our homes, they feel different as the feeling associated to that place came from the way we spent our time there. And now that has changed. So it is safe to assume nothing is as it was before, neither our work life nor our family life. This leads us to the first step of managing time from work from home, and that is accepting this change. Now, just saying, yes, I know things have changed will not suffice. Identifying what are the impacts of that change and acknowledging them is what's more important. Everybody knows things have changed, but we have not accepted that. And because of that, it causes a lot of friction, both with work people and with your family members. So accepting that change in your mind, in your heart, and acknowledging that things are going to be different now is very important. Our Zoom meetings, our work meetings, our kitchen tables turned into classrooms for your kids or for you into home offices will continue for some time. Though critical to surviving the crisis, these measures are taking a toll on everyone. Indeed, burnout, which is defined as chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed, is at an all-time high. Everybody is feeling the pressure. Everybody is burnt out with the workload. So what do you do to manage this crisis? and achieve the acceptance of the new normal. Acceptance being the key word here. So the first thing that I discussed during my talks on time management is the commute to work. Yes, you heard it right. The commute to work, or rather, in today's scenario, the absence of it. Without an office to commute to, the separation between work and home becomes tenuous. Although research shows that people rate their commutes as one of the most stressful and undesirable parts of the day, having no commute at all causes problems too. And why is that? Because series of studies in that we have identified that being on road can help people switch gears between home and work. And that without a commute, people struggle to separate their work and personal lives. That is the importance of commute. When you were on the road, when you left work, when you reached home, that travel time gave you the transitioning time of switching off your work mind and turning on your home mind. And now that is not happening. Our commute is only limited to your office space, to your living room, to your room. And that is not giving us time to transition, to switch our gears from work to home. And hence we say, my work is always there with me. You're not able to leave your work because you're living with your work, right? Now, what do we do about that? It has been found in studies that people end up spending extra time or working wherein that time earlier was utilized in commuting. So instead of shutting down the computer and rattling home on a crowded train at 7 p.m., many people are working later than ever. They think just one more email, stretching into an extra 2 hours hunched over the laptop. And that additional work time is not always well spent. Now that is important. We are getting that extra time because we think that we are not commuting, that extra time is there, but that time is not being well spent. So when the commute is missing, what do we do? Now that is something that we need to work on. Commuting was when we get into a work mode, but that transition need not necessarily be a physical commute. There can be a lot many other things that you can do to signify the transition from home to work, work to home. And one important thing that you can do is give yourself 15 minutes of time. 15 minutes at the start of the day and 15 minutes at the end of the day. What do you do in those 15 minutes? You sit and you plan. You think about, in the morning, you sit for those 15 days, you go out and you walk for those 15 minutes and you plan. You plan for your day. That helps you transition from your home mode to your work mode. And at the end of the day, those 15 minutes, what do? You plan for your next day. So once you start planning for your next day, it tells your brain, today's day is over. Now I am giving myself time to start planning for tomorrow. And slowly and gradually you start transitioning into the home mode, which is very important. So tell yourself that it is important. My physical commute might be over, but there are a lot of other things that I can do to make that transition from home to work and work to home. All right, so that was one tidbit. Now, let's have a look at a video.
How the agreement is going to work and how. Jason, I'm on an important call, but can you please go out? So sorry about that, guys.
So cute.
Quarantine. You said you both received the agreement, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I'm so sorry. Let me just lock the door, please. Just hold on. No problem.
Nice shorts. Nice shorts, Josiah.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. This is embarrassing. Please forgive me.
It's no problem, Josiah. No problem at all.
Oh, with the shorts. That is hilarious.
All right, so that was a fun video. Now, let's see in the chat boxes, how many of you all have gone through that, have had people, family members come and interrupt your Zoom meetings? Yes, I can see, yes, me, it's happened with me. Yes, a lot of people, right? Everybody has gone through this one time or the other. Amazing. What about the second aspect? What about the whole, now very common? Suralini says, now very common. Absolutely. Now it is something that's very common. And what about the second part? What about suddenly you having to get up from your work table and others end up seeing you in your workshops? Has that ever happened? Okay. Neha is writing no. Karan says no, not at all. Okay. But, and what about the others? I'm sure. So this might not have happened with you, but if we were in a more interactive wherein I could see you all, and if I would ask you all to stand up, luckily not, yes. If I could ask you all to stand up, would I have gotten any surprises today? Well, we don't know, right? We don't know. I'm sure a lot of you would have been smiling right now that yes, there could have been a surprise had I asked you all to stand up. All right. Oh, yes, absolutely. All right. So now, what are the takeaways from this video? We were talking about accepting changes. So what are the changes that we could see has happened in today's scenario that we could see from this video? The first change, yes, as we said that it's something very common now, our family members being around, peeping in, photo bombing, as we say, our meetings. Yes. So that is another change which we have to accept. We all know it. Many of you have written something very common. It happens a lot. Yes. But has acceptance also seeped in? That this is something that happens, and what happens, how did he react? He got angry at his kid. He was frustrated when it happened the second time as well. Once that acceptance comes in, then it becomes the new normal. We have to understand we are the ones who are encroaching our family's personal space. We are the ones who have brought work home. We cannot expect them to be silent, sitting quietly away from our monitors, away from our laptops. Though that expectation is unrealistic. So we need to accept that we are at home. Our managers need to accept that. Now that becomes very important. So when we work from home, there is no escape from managing homework along with work. Accepting this becomes crucial for our mental wellness. It will ease up the strains on our personal relationship. When you're able to help your spouse, help your other family members, it will ease up the strain. When you do not get distracted when somebody is walking by while you're working, it eases up the relationship, and that takes away your stress. So that acceptance, I am at work, my family is going to be around me, they will be there on my Zoom calls as a little cameo, becomes important. And now, that's not it. You need to make your colleagues, make your bosses, your managers also aware of this fact. They also need to accept it. Now, research has shown that everyone, especially men, hesitate to express the need for family accommodations with their employers. Men do not like to tell at their workplace, I need some time off for personal work, or I need to be away for 5 minutes for doing this. They do not. Now that needs to change. And communication becomes the key here. The simple act of communicating in and on itself can relieve ambiguity and anxiety. Have an honest and open dialogue with your manager regarding your time management plan. And how can you do that? How can you do that planning? Creating flexi work hours for yourself. Have a discussion with your boss and make a schedule that works for both of you. Sticking to the old time clock of 9 to 7 does not work anymore. There needs to be time allotted in your work schedule in between for your household chores, taking care of your kids, taking care of who's answering the doorbell, small thing like that, you need to be available. And this needs to be communicated. If you do not do so, it will result you being in stress about having to approach your manager again and again every day. Now I need time away to do this. Now I need time away to do that. So let's remove the stigma from the words personal work. Let's make that the new normal. Bring in flexi work hours and get your personal work done in between. And this can only be achieved with working out your schedule in such a manner that you're able to accommodate housework, office work all together, but of course in open and honest communication with your manager, and they need to be okay about it. So communicate with them, create flexi hours yourself, and remove the stigma around the words personal work, right? Now, another takeaway from the video, apart from the kid barging in, was we just spoke about the dressing. Dress like you're going to office. That is, dress for working at home. Dressing up for work, even when you are working remotely, it looks fashionable, but more important, it's a psychological strategy. Having a wake-up routine and wearing your clothes you would normally wear to office will help you get in a frame of mind that helps you focus on your projects. Earlier, when I was talking about find out those things, any action that you can do to transition you from home to work mode, and my first key takeaway for you was plan 15 minutes in the morning and in the evening to signal the start and the end of work day. Now, another transitioning that you can put in and get into a part of your routine is dressing for work. When you dress up early in the morning, for you, those can be the 15 minutes. And then you can start getting into your work mode. And in the evening, when you change out of your work clothes and into your home clothes, that is again another transition. It signals to you that my work day is over. When you sit in your sweats, in your lounge pants throughout the day, psychologically, there's nothing to tell you that work is over, because you just get up from your desk and go to your living room. But when you change your clothes, when you put yourself through that routine, it will help you balance your transitioning of your mind from work to home better. So let's do that. Let's everyone get into that. Rupak says that's true. I see my wife do that every day, trying to adopt. Yes, thank you, Rupak. Absolutely. When you do that, when you change into things, when you bring in that small routine to your work life, it helps you transition better. Great. Now, with this, now let's move on to our second step. We just spoke about mental wellness and how mental wellness is all about accepting the change, accepting the different change that is brought in, acknowledging it and making it a part of your life. Now we talk about, or move on rather, to the next step, and that is professional wellness and how we can manage our work day better. Productivity, the words that we spoke about earlier, how that is the key and how to achieve that. Now, earlier we spoke about the impact of loss of commute and how because of that we were not able to transition. But like everything, there is another side to it. As per a study, eliminating the daily commute has saved employees around 90 million hours each week, equivalent to time savings of more than 40 million full work days since the pandemic began. These numbers suggest, all right, let me just see. Ankur has raised his hand. Oh. Let me give you the audio.
Done that, Neeti.
Okay, Ankur. Hi, Ankur. You had a question? Ankur, are you there? Okay, so let's wait back for Ankur.
Chat box if you have a question for Neeti. Please go ahead,
Yes,
Neeti. Thank you.
sure. All right, great. So we were talking about how this commute, loss of commute has also resulted in extra work hours. It has given us extra hours, extra time that we earlier used to spend commuting. Now, these numbers that I just spoke about suggest that working remotely could be a boon for reclaiming one of our most precious and limited resources, that is time. Now this should be a success story for work from home, right? We are able to save so many work hours and time, which is the most important currency we are able to save on time. But it's not, because that study continues to show that the additional time that is gained is often burned on unproductive. Now, that is where the differentiation comes in. That is what matters. Because just being busy is not enough. What are you busy with? Are you being productive or not? That is the biggest dilemma. That is where our time management skills become very important. Are we able to manage our time and gain more productivity? That is the key here. Now, there's an important principle known as the 80-20 rule. The principle states that roughly 80% of our results come from 20% of our efforts. Now, and just absorb this in. 80% of our results, what we do throughout the day, the work that we want to achieve, 80% of our results, they come from 20% only of our efforts. And understanding of this principle will help you to put focus on the right things, whether it's your work, productivity, goal setting, but that focus on the right thing, identifying. The challenge becomes identifying the 20%. What is it that I should focus on? What is that window of work that gives me the maximum productivity? Identifying those activities that will help us focus our attention to get us more productivity out of the time. So the solution, of course, that's what we are here for, to give you a solution to identify how you can increase your productive time. How can you increase your productivity? So the solution is an easy yet impactful way of planning your daily activities so that you're able to focus on that 20% to achieve highest productivity. And what is that solution? Priority matrix. It has been used for ages and ages now. The priority matrix, also known as the urgent important matrix, is a powerful way of organizing tasks based on priorities. Using it helps you overcome the natural tendency to focus on urgent activities so that you can have time to focus on what's truly important. So please note the key words here are urgent and important. We tend to focus our attention on urgent activities, but this will help us to shift our attention to important activities. So how do we differentiate urgent and important? How do we identify if an activity is important or urgent? They both seem similar. Everything I do is important or urgent, or it might be neither. Very simple. Important, those activities that lead to achieving your goals and have the greatest impact on your life, they are the important activities. They're important for your growth, for your career, for your advancement, for your goals. So activities that lead to achieving your goals, they are important activities. And urgent activities, they are the activities that demand immediate attention but are associated with someone else's goal rather than our own. So urgent, again, I repeat, is something that demands immediate attention. We feel compelled to work on them immediately, but they are associated with somebody else's goal rather than our own. We do not feel any advancement in our career, in our goals, in our planning, because when we end up doing those urgent activities. Now, to understand this matrix better and how you can use it in your daily life, let's first have a look at a video.
This morning I got up and got ready quickly because I had to get a lot of stuff done. I sat down at my desk to start getting my stuff done and I spilled my coffee, so I got a sponge to clean it up, and I figured I'd take an extra minute to clean the whole desk because a clean desk would help me get my stuff done. When I was finished, I realized I hadn't eaten anything and I didn't want to be hungry while I got my stuff done, so I went into the kitchen and I was out of cereal. When I got to the grocery store, I remembered a bunch of other crap I needed to get, and I figured I was already there, so I did my shopping for the week so I didn't have to worry about it while I got my stuff done. When I got home, I didn't feel like cereal anymore, and so I made an omelet and I did the dishes so I wouldn't have to do them after I got my stuff done, and then I went out to get some oil from the hardware store because my desk chair is kind of squeaky and I didn't want to be distracted by a squeaky chair while I got my stuff done. When I got back, it was getting kind of late and I knew I wouldn't be able to get my stuff done today, so I started watching the Twilight Zone marathon on TV. I just have to make sure I get to bed early because I want to be well rested tomorrow so I can get my stuff done.
All right, that was an interesting video. Now, I want you all to write in the chat box, what were the different activities that you remember from the video that just happened? In the whole, he wanted to get his work done, but that work never happened. And there were a lot many other activities that he ended up doing. So let's write in the chat box, everybody, come on. What were the different activities that you remember from the video that he ended up doing rather than getting his work done? Okay. Shopping, cooking, washing up. Yes. Jigar says watching TV. Yes, absolutely. Neha says shopping. Yes. Come on, everyone else, let's write. Okay, I'm getting a lot of responses now. Everyone was taking time chatting. All right, cleaning desk, watching movies, fixing the chair. Vikram says yes. Amita says sponging spilled coffee. Ramnath says sponging spilled coffee. Suralino, brush teeth, spill coffee, shopping TV, oil for chair. All right, we've got a lot many over here. Yes. So these were the different activities that he ended up doing. Vaishali says thinking I have to get my work done. Yes. So the whole baseline was I had to get my stuff done, and rather than getting the stuff done, he ended up doing a lot of different chores. Now, let's identify, let's look at this matrix again, and let's plot these activities in this matrix so that you understand, and for you, it becomes easy. So what I'm giving you over here is an understanding of how this matrix works so that you can easily, right after this session, start plotting your own matrix for the day. That is the point of this matrix. Every activity that you do can be plotted on this matrix, and you identify where are your maximum activities plotted in this matrix. So there are 4 quadrants, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first quadrant is for activities that are important and urgent, right? That becomes your first quadrant of activities that are both urgent and important. So activities in this area relate to dealing with critical issues as they arise and meeting significant commitments. So we need to perform these duties now because they demand our immediate attention and they are important as well. The second quadrant is important but not urgent. Now these are success-oriented tasks and they are critical to achieving our goals. This is where personal development, self-development comes in. So we should plan to do these tasks next. So for example, you all attending this camp, attending this session today falls under which quadrant? Any guesses? Let's see in the chat windows. You all taking out time right now to attending this session falls under which quadrant? Okay, I'm getting responses here. 2, yes, 2, yes, of course. You're absolutely right. It is important and not urgent. Swati also says 2. Vaishali says important, not urgent. Yes, everybody's writing 2. Absolutely right. Why? Because this is something for your personal development. This is you're doing for yourself. So it is important for your career progression, for your personal self, but it is not something that's urgent. So we need to plan to do these tasks next. Next, the third quadrant is urgent but not important. Now, these chores do not move you forward toward your own goals. So we can manage by delaying them, cutting them short and rejecting requests from others if it is their work that we need to do. So we need to postpone these chores. And the last quadrant, not urgent and not important. These are trivial interruptions and they're just a distraction and should be avoided if possible. So avoid these distractions altogether. So the things to remember for the first quadrant, urgent and important, perform them now. For the second quadrant, that is important but not urgent, plan to do these next. For urgent but not important, the third one, postpone them. And for not urgent, not important, avoid them altogether. Now, with an understanding of this quadrant, now what we will do now is plot those activities that happened in the video in these quadrants. So let me ask you, and you all please message in the chat box, which quadrant do you think that activity should go into? So the first activity was spilling the coffee and cleaning it up. So he spilled his coffee and he got a mop to clean it up. Which quadrant do you think we should go into? 1, 2, 3, or 4? All right, I'm getting Vishali says 1. Amit says 1. Okay. Yes, I'm getting again 1. Yes, absolutely. Why? Because it becomes urgent. There's spilled coffee on your table. It becomes urgent and important to be dealt. Now, what about cleaning up the whole desk? That I decided it will help me work better if I start cleaning the whole desk. Now, which quadrant does that come into? Yes, Rupak, you had mentioned 1. I think that's from my previous question. So, cleaning the whole desk, yes. 2, Rajbala says 2. All right. Surya, 2. Okay. All right. I'm getting 3. Vivek mentions 3. Madhvi mentions 3. Okay. Great. I'm again getting mixed responses over here. Yes. So this is here our understanding needs to come in. Now, ending up cleaning the whole desk. That's not urgent because coffee has been cleansed and that's not important. Or is it? What happens? What happens? Why are we putting it in which quadrant? This goes in the third quadrant. And what is that? Urgent but not important, or rather not urgent, not important. So yes, 4, 3, 4. So depending on now everything, so that's where it comes to that you need to identify for your own self. For someone, it could fall in the third quadrant if he thinks that it is really messy and I cannot work. So this comes in the third quadrant that you might feel it's urgent, but it is not important at all. Or it will fall in the fourth quadrant, not urgent and not important at all. This was just one of your ways to procrastinate. So either 3 or 4, but not 1 and 2, which are the most important quadrants. Next, we come to the other activity was out of cereal. So he goes to the grocery store to buy it. So which quadrant does that come into? Yes, I'm getting again 1s. Yes, because he's hungry and he's out of cereal, so he needs to go buy it. But then he ends up going to buy many other things and ends up spending a lot of time in that process in shopping a lot more things. So where does that leave you? Which quadrant? Madhvi says 4. Absolutely. Yes, I'm getting others. 4s. Yes, again, because that is not urgent and not important. Again, we are dilly-dallying. So we are doing activities which were not important right now. Next becomes making omelette. You get everything home, you start making omelette. Important, right? It comes in the first one because you need to eat. But what about doing dishes at that time when you needed to get stuff done? So doing dishes becomes what? Is it urgent? Do you need to do it at that very time? Is it important? Okay, Rupak says 2, that he thinks that it is important to have a clean home. So again, the understanding changes, the perception changes, how you want to be. Someone says 4, okay, others also, right. Then it becomes different, how we are identifying. So it either becomes 4 because at this moment you don't need to do the dishes. It's not important, it's not urgent, right. Next activity was buying oil for chair. Now, where does that come in? Is it important? Is it urgent? Buying oil for your chair. Is it urgent? Can you 4? Yes, absolutely. I'm getting a lot of 4s. Yes, now you're getting a hang of the priority matrix. Guys, amazing. Yes, because buying oil for your chair, if till now you were managing to live with a squeaky chair, you can continue to do so for a few more hours till you get your stuff done. That is the understanding. You need to understand that your focus should be on getting that stuff done that you have planned for the day, but you rather ended up doing other things. Watching TV, where does that go? 4th, it's trivial. When you have to work, rest, everything which are distraction goes away. So this is how you plot your activities on your matrix, the urgent important matrix. You identify your activity and you see if it is urgent, it needs to be taken care of right now or not, whether it's important to your advancement, to your goals, to your planning that you've done for the day or not, and you plan these. Your activities, mainly what you should do in the day, should fall on the first and the second quadrant. You should have minimum activities in the third and fourth quadrant. If you look at the video here, the maximum activities fell into the third and the fourth quadrant. Now, Rupak is saying how to do this when you're in the middle of the day. Very interesting question, Rupak. Thank you. I'm sure a lot of other people would also be thinking about this. You cannot do this in the middle of the day. This priority matrix, how you should approach this is, at the beginning, start doing it once a week. Like once a week, start thinking what all activities did I do, start making a note of them. Then at the end of the week, plot them and identify where do I spend majority of my time. Take a mental note of it. Do it again the next week. Do it again the next week. Then reduce your frequency and identify, am I able to bring in some changes or not? Are my activities more in the third and the fourth quadrant rather than the first or the second? Once you do so, your mental, your how you perceive things, how you look at tasks starts changing. So the next, if I've done this today, if I've spilled my coffee, and rather than just cleaning that coffee, I ended up cleaning the whole table, and I've identified later on, at the end of the week, that I've put it in my third or the fourth quadrant. The next time something like this happens, my brain will automatically tell me, stop doing this. Just do what's important and urgent right now and move on. So this is something that brings about a psychological change in your mindset and in your thinking and how you approach work. So you have to do this matrix regularly. If you think you can find time, do it every day for a period of time, till the time you start grasping the concept and your brain becomes tuned to the idea of what tasks to attend to and what tasks to postpone and which tasks to avoid. Till that time, you keep on plotting on your matrix and you keep on assessing where do my activities fall. And then you start planning. So the 15 minutes that I was talking about in the beginning of the day and the end of the day, that's another activity that I'm offering you to do in this 15 minutes. Plan. At the end of the day, take those 15 minutes to plot your matrix. That's how you will spend those 15 days and come out of your work mode to your home mode. That how productive was I today? Are my activities more in the first and second quadrant than the third and the fourth? And if you've done that for the day, that's again an achievement in itself. And you will feel a sense of achievement when majority of your activities fall in your first and second quadrant. So another way, let me give you another tip as to what you can do and how you can have more productive time is put proactive time on your calendar. Blocking out proactive time or time reserved for work that is highly important but not urgent. So identify every day one task that falls in the second quadrant. Scheduling a daily pro time block in which you turn off all distractions and focus on specific tasks helps you feel more effective and less overwhelmed. Pro time can prevent you from focusing on the next deadline and getting bogged down with less meaningful work, making your day feels more productive and less stressful. So like for today, your productive time, the second quadrant was attending this session. So you've already done that. Now imagine throughout the rest of the day, you will feel a sense of achievement that I did something productive today. I did something that is going to help me in my thinking process, help me manage my work better. So identifying one proactivity, one thing that you will do that you will ensure will fall in your second quadrant, identifying that and plotting it in your day. When you start the day in the initial 15 minutes in the morning time, you identify that one activity that you will ensure at the end of the day will fall in that second quadrant. And at the end of the day, for those 15 minutes, you plot all your activities and ensure that there's a tick next to that activity that you identified for your second quadrant. So this will help us manage our professional wellness. When we are able to manage time, when we are able to identify which activities help us in our work, lead us to more productive work, it will always lead to a sense of wellness, a sense of achievement. Now, with that, let's move on to our third step. Last but not the least, very important because it's very closely related to both the previous steps. So this step is physical wellness. finally taking a moment to think about your body. Now, in the whole camp, we have done yoga, we have done laughter yoga. You've already gone through that, and you've already understood the importance of physical wellness. Now, this is some tips and some pointers for you how working from home you can ensure your physical wellness every day. Don't let your job stop you from working out, from exercising. Even if you can get to take out only a 15-minute walk around the block on a break, it's enough. Getting moving is good for your body and can help you clear your mind. And there are different ways in which you can plan your physical wellness. Let's discuss them. First, pay attention to time and mental breaks. Very important. While working from home, it may seem like you're always available. You're always on work. It's important that you schedule time to be off. Taking breaks and switching tasks not only recharges energy, it also improves creative thinking and problem solving. And it reduces the burnout that we spoke earlier. So let me ask you, how many of you actually take time for these mental breaks? These small breaks of 5 minutes, these pockets of 5 minutes that you just turn off. That's it. I need some time for myself. I need to recalibrate. Do we do that? Yes or no? Let's see in the chat box. Do we give ourselves time? Okay, it's starting now. It's a struggle, Sujalina says. Okay, all right. Vishap says that no, I'm not able to. Vaishali says yes, amazing. Okay, I'm getting a mix of yes and no. Yes, it becomes difficult. Finding those pockets of 5 minutes, it becomes a challenge, but you need to do that. Block it on your calendar. How do you do that? If you are the person who uses calendar and blocks everything, block it on your calendar and give it some other name, client call, so that nobody else is disturbing you. Your work people think that you are engaged in some work and they will not disrupt you in those 5 minutes. Your family members, they anyways think you're working. So even if you don't want to get up from your desk for those 5 minutes, it's all right. Just turn off your brain, think about something, meditate. Just do one asana that time, do something, but it's very important. Madhvi says, no, never do something, always comes up. Yes, and that is why that time, for those 5 minutes, if your work permits, put your phone on silent and keep it away. There will always be a justification that you can give for not being available for those 5 minutes. You will find a way to do that. We are very creative people. But it's very important to plan out those mental breaks. It will rejuvenate you because these small pockets of time, they give you a burst of energy. So what can you do in that 5 minutes? Simple, anything, just do any workout. So the next step or the next thing that you can do for your physical wellness will be some form of workout. Walking is a form of active leisure that's known to reduce stress. So it's a good idea to find a way to deliberately build some walking time into your day. We started our wellness shop, as we discussed, with yoga. So a perfect way to bring in wellness of all forms into your life. If you're not a yoga person, then identify any physical activity that helps you to stay fit. Just on your desk, getting up and doing some crunches, holding onto your desk, anything, any workout that you think you're able. You can manage 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maximum 15 minutes, and it's enough. It will help you. Your body needs that cue to stay active. Another step now. Mini break from technology. You need to rest your eyes. You need to rest your mind. The biggest health-related drawback that this pandemic has brought on is the impact to our eyes. We are virtually staring at our screen the whole day. So try taking a mini break from technology and screens. If you can't do it on the weekday, so at least over the weekend. It might be hard at first, but once you get used to it, it can be relaxing and raise your awareness of your surroundings and help in revitalizing your body. So taking mini break from technology is very important. Next, posture. If you work a desk job, your posture may be causing back and neck pain. I want to ask you all, have you recently or in the past 1 year started feeling pain in your parts of the body that you never knew could ache, that you've never felt before, and now that has become an issue? In the chat box, do you feel pains in the part of your body? Do you feel that this is hurting, that is hurting, I don't know what to do about it? I'm getting yes, 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 unilaterally yes from everyone. Yes. Posture becomes important. the right posture that we maintain. So my tip for you now, how can we eliminate or at least reduce this pain or all the ailments that we are feeling in different body parts is correcting our posture. How do you do that? You have to get a desk that is correct for your height. It's very important. Now, if you do not want to invest in a table that is the right height for you, wherein you can rest your arms easily on that. So you're not too high or too low for that table. If you're not able to, find a way to make it at home. Maybe if it's a low desk, put things over it. If it's a high desk, get a higher chair. Put some cushioning on your chair, but be at the right level to the desk. That's very important, because then we can use our arms and put our weight on the arms to support our body, and not a lot of weight goes on our shoulder. That is where the shoulder pain and the neck pain comes, when we are not able to put our weight on our arms, and everything is supported by here. And the next tip, get a nice ergonomical chair. I know if you think there's no space in my home, I don't want to invest in it right now, but it's been going on for a year, and that's a long enough time for you to invest in something that will help you for your physical wellness. So I find a chair that will give you a good posture. You feel relaxed in it. You're sitting 10 to 12 hours, and it's important that you sit right. So use ergonomical chairs. It might be an investment, but one that will bear fruits for you. Keep your laptop at your eye level so that you don't have to look down, look up. Position it correctly. When you sit right, when you have the right table, right chair, it will help you to gain that right posture. Next, what you move on to is, after doing that, you keep taking those mini breaks. Now, those mini breaks are important for ensuring that you have a energy boom once you close your mind, but it's also important for your posture. If you continue to keep sitting throughout the day, again, that will induce those pains. So you need to keep standing up. So maybe for 5 minutes, stand and work. Move away from your table and stand and work. Do that. So even if Sudhilino mentions also change places, absolutely, that's what you change places. But if you're not, because you're restricted and because of your home environment and the layout, you're not able to shift from one place to the other because there are other people occupying other spaces, what you do is stand up and work for 5 minutes standing up. When you think you're on a call, stand up and take the call. When you don't have to access the laptop, stand and take the call. What it does is it changes your body posture, and that is important. So simple thing, tune your brain. The moment a call comes, we all are any which is on our headphones, speaker phones, earphones. The moment a call comes, just stand up. Just stand at the desk and take the call. And that will take away a lot of the pains and ease the pain that you feel in your body. All right, great. Now, the next thing, last thing that you can do for your physical wellness is eating right. Very important, guys. Eating, what we eat, what we consume has a direct correlation with how we feel, how our body feels, because it's the fuel that makes our body move. So get used to light lunches and try meal prep. You know, it helps you, it will help you in preparation also. It becomes easy, and eating big meals in the middle of the day can make you feel sluggish. So try to eat a mix of fresh produce and light protein to fuel the day. There's a concept of one bowl. One bowl food is that anything that you can prepare that fits in one bowl. It keeps it healthy, and it also keeps it light so that you do not feel lethargic. Who all goes through it? That by the time it's 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, whenever you take your lunch, all you can do is, oh, I want to sleep. I'm at home, a bed is right there next to me, I just want to lie down on it. Who all goes through that? Can I see in the chat box, yes or no? Do you feel I just want to sleep right now after I've eaten? I want to lie down even for 5 minutes. Yes. Okay, I'm getting yes, I'm getting no also. All right, great. Kudos for you. Ramnath says no. I'm getting otherwise a lot of yeses. Yes. Afternoon, especially when you're at home, you feel lethargic. You don't want to work post lunch. So how you do that? You build up your energy by planning small meals. So that is how you work on your physical wellness. So today we discussed about our mental wellness and the key words that we discussed. Let's recap quickly before our session ends. We spoke about mental wellness, and the key words to remember when it comes to mental wellness is transition from work mode to home mode. That's important. Understanding and accepting that we are the ones who are encroaching our family space. Communicating with your managers that I need that flexi work times, another keyword for personal work, another key keywords. So these are the things you need to remember for mental wellness. For professional wellness, understanding how we can reduce our unproductive work by plotting the priority matrix and identifying which of our activities are important and urgent. So doing that in those 15 minutes before and after, or once a week, whichever suits right to you. And the physical wellness, how we need to ensure and take care of our body. So quickly, we end our session with some hacks for you for time management. Create your own commute, as we discussed in the beginning of the session. So identify this transition time which works for you. It will be very important. Plot your schedule, as we say, windowed work. So identify those how you can, when you're working and collaborating with your partner. So flexible work timings come into here, that collaborate on a schedule with your partner at the start of the week to determine who will be doing what work, where and when. So it becomes easier. So flexible timings is the key here to doing windowed work. You identify which are the times when I'm most productive. It can be maybe before your family wake up, early in the morning, 6 o'clock, or after your family goes off to sleep. So windowed work is identifying those patches wherein you are the most productive, and communicate with your manager and that I need flexible work hours to ensure that I'm the most productive person. And the last is identify a must win for each day. And that is the pro activity every day. Identify, I need to do this. In the beginning of the 15 minutes, identify the task for today, the must win for today. And at the end of the day, check it. And the sense of achievement that will come with that will be worth it. So these are the hacks for time management, and the last hacks for work-life balance. Invest time for self-care. Very, very important. Please do not forget you are important. So take time for self-care during the week. Spending time on yourself off the clock can improve your performance while you are on the clock. You can also take time for a class to improve your professional skills or anything. Like right now, what you're doing is your self-care. Be transparent with your manager. Again, communication becomes the key here, and set boundaries that work for you. To maintain a healthy work-life balance, set an alarm to remind yourself when to end your workday. Very important. Turn your computer off and store it somewhere that you're not tempted to check it or look at it. Spending time with your family is equally important. So set boundaries that work for you. So now I would like to leave you all with this parting statement. Are you working from home or living at work? The answer to this question is entirely in your hands and in your time managing skills. So thank you so much, everyone. I had an amazing time interacting with you, and thank you everybody for writing so many messages on the chat, and wonderful to see you here. Thank you so much. To you,
Thank
Nidhi.
you. There's a question there, Nidhi, in the Q&A if you may want to.
Yes, I will address all everyone please write any of the questions in the Q&A window and I will address them right away. So Nidhi says, could you address the struggle of people going to work all day in retail and then being expected to available for Zoom meetings too anytime during morning, day and evenings, feeling stretched so often? I feel your pain, Nidhi. I feel it. If you're working all day in retail, you're out there interacting with customers and then having to do the Zoom meetings. Now, if your work is very demanding, then for you, the key is identifying those 5 minutes of breaks. You need to plan, you need to take care of your mental and your physical wellness to be able to ensure that professional wellness is there. You're giving 100%. So throughout the day, plan after every 1.5 to 2 hours, I am going to take that 5 minutes break. Turn off your phone. If you're there when there are customers there because you are in a retail space, go somewhere, step away from the floor and give those 5 minutes to yourself. Once you do that, you will feel a burst of that energy that is important, right? I hope I've answered your query, Nidhi, something that will help you in managing such a stressful day.
Yes, Neeti, that's a very good suggestion there. I will add one more point to that to say that, you know, when we are in the retail environment, what we can't manage is when, you know, the time when people will start trickling in. And so anybody can walk in anytime, and we might probably have to address them. And then there is a Zoom already scheduled, so you can't say that this is clashing with my calendar. But what can be done is to see what are the peak hours. You know, for you. Now the peak hours have changed in the COVID situation, but whatever are the peak hours, that for me is my calendar blocked. Whether somebody comes in or not, I can avoid, you know, confirming any Zoom calls in my peak hours that I have for my retail. So maybe, you know, something like that could also come in handy for you, Madhvi. Thank you for sharing your question. Thank you so much, Neeti, for such an insightful session. It was very easy, very simple tips, and yet so powerful. We're getting a lot of amazing comments for you in the chat box, but I do want you to capture this feedback for Neeti on the Wellness Camp page. Allow me to share with you very quickly where can you go and park a question if you have, if there is a question that you've not answered right now and you would want us to respond to. Please go to the Wellness Camp page. This is the page you're very familiar with. This is where you come and you click for the session to join in. Right at the top, there is an option called Chat tab. Please click on Chat tab, and on the top right you will see add a question or comment. So you can click on add a question or comment, and here in the question title you can write feedback for Neeti, and then you can share what your feedback is in detail here. You could also use this space to post any question that you may have. Then you click on post question, and when you go back to questions you will see your question or comment listed here on this page. While we're at it, I also want to invite you and remind you once again of the panel discussion, guys. The camp is not over as yet. Icing to the cake will be the discussion lined up for tomorrow. On the same page, right at the end, the last one is panel discussion. Click on this tomorrow morning, 5 minutes before 10. And be here for these 90 minutes, which could give you a lot of best practices from the industry, every industry, and in fact, even global perspective of how to create workplace wellness. Workplace wellness means where we work, how do we engage with people, how do we make sure that even in the virtual environment we are all connected. To let you know who joining us for this discussion, these are people who walk the talk. These are people who are running organizations which are great places to work year after year. Whether you have 5 people in your company or 500, you've got to be there to learn from Sandeep, Manish, Shamal and Swapnil. What are they doing right? What is making their company a great place to work year after year? So I hope to see you there. And if you found this session to be useful, make sure your friends and people you love are back into the Wellness Camp for the sessions to follow. Today, the whole day we're going to spend on professional wellness. The next session starts at 9:30, then at 11 o'clock, and 2 sessions in the evening, 4 and 7 o'clock. If you want to meet Neeti again, she will be back with us at 11, and we have another session at 9:30 with Trupti. So please make sure you spread the message. This is the last day of sessions. Let's get the most of it. We welcome you once again to the Wellness Camp, and thank you so much for embracing the camp and embracing SBY Academy and allowing us to serve you with experts like Neeti. Thank you so much, Neeti. You've been amazing. Thank you for sharing so many nuggets of wisdom with us today.
Thank you, Yukti. It was a wonderful experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow and maybe later today as well. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.